All right. Well, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you may be. Welcome to the webinar today. We're excited today to be able to review the options available for public records request in OnBase. I'm Cullen Dinkle, along with Brandon Beller. We are both sales executives here at Naviant, and we're on the government and tribal government team. Again, as a very quick review for anyone new to Naviant or this webinar series, we are a business process management consulting firm with a focus on enterprise content services platforms. Again, the software that we're going to be referencing throughout this presentation today is OnBase, and it's developed by Hyland Software. And we at Naviant are Hyland's premier global solutions partner. Hyland's OnBase is a top-ranked Gartner solution and the only solution built on a single platform for everything related to content services. It is comprised of the full range of capabilities, including various capture tools, content management tools, process management, case management, reporting, search, OCR, and more. And then again, all of this is on a single code set that is highly configurable, highly integratable, and will scale along with your organization. The beauty of OnBase is that it's on one platform that can be utilized and leveraged across all departments. So today, Brandon's going to be focusing on public records, but as you can see above, the public records is just a drop in the bucket of what the OnBase system can really do within a government organization and how it can extend far beyond just the public records uses within any department, including the clerk's department. Again, anywhere where you have content or processes to manage, OnBase can help better manage them. As we all know, we're experiencing this shift into a new way of working, and we're not yet sure what the new normal will ultimately look like. But what we do know is that there are way too many manual processes that often take more time out of the workday than we anticipate. That's why we're here, really to answer the question of why automate public records requests. At this point, I'm excited to turn it over to Brandon, let him really dive into public records request. I know he's going to show a little bit of the system and how it works that way. Throughout his presentation, we're going to keep the questions panel open. So if there are any questions that you have, please put it there at any point, and we're hoping to have some time at the end to answer those questions. We may not be able to get to all of them. If we don't, we're going to get a copy of those questions and send you those answers after the completion. Also, you're going to get a copy of the slide deck and the recording to be able to review or share with anyone you would like within your organizations. At the end of this, if there's any additional information that you want, please reach out to Brandon or I, and we can help you with that. This, unfortunately, because of the limited time, with it only being a half an hour, we won't be able to get to everything that there is within public records, but what we're hoping to provide is with a good overview, a good taste of what its capabilities are, get you thinking, and that way, if there's anything that is piqued during this webinar, please reach out and we can get you some more further details on that. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Brandon. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Colin. So why automate public records requests, right? That's why we're here. But let's kind of define what public records requests are, or what it is. I know many agencies refer to it by different names. The common terminology is FOIA, FOIL, OPRA, PRA, CORA, CPRA, Sunshine Act, GRAMA, and a few others. But all in all, it is public records request. It is the philosophy of full agency disclosure. Our agencies need to be transparent with all of your documents and the content that's being created as per subject to law. So let's go back to why automate it. here's the, in many cases, I don't know if these pictures resonate with anyone, but this is oftentimes part or fully, the environment of a lot of public records, right? The processes that it takes to fulfill a public records request are often laborious, tedious, they take a lot of time, not to mention that they could be disorganized, become legible or illegible if they're old handwritten records. And then how does the condition translate over time? We do know that, in a perfect world, everything starts organized, right? The records are stacked, they're organized alphabetically, numerically, chronologically, but they really only go in one direction over time, right? They take up more space, they become less organized, they're not put back in the right places, they're mishandled. Again, they could start to become destroyed over time, or worst case, what happens if paper documents are stored and a disaster occurs? Any type of permanent records that are stored in a paper-based format are subject to destruction. And this is actually a picture of a customer that was on the East Coast and experienced a flood. The records were kept off-site, and it ended up incurring over $2 million worth of costs to reestablish those records. So there's one reason why we automate. The next is this digital transformation, this trend, this convenience that we users, end users, constituents want everything now, right? And private sector and even COVID has been driving this expectation, this need for digital transformation. We're so used to, getting credit reports, applying for mortgages, paying utility bills. I mean, you could even pay stocks or buy and trade stocks, all from your cell phone. So why shouldn't something like public records requests or constituent access be also kind of in a similar format? So now let's talk about the business problem that we're facing today, though, right? I'm sure everyone knows and is aware of their process and what they specifically go through on a day-to-day, but really what's driving the issue financially behind, these problems or having these legacy records, right? The state of Washington did an auditor's report of public records requests at a cost of a state and local agency level. So there's 900 total agencies, but only 541 of them responded. But of those 541 respondents, it resulted in over $60 million for costs for public records. And this report, I think, is a couple years old, so the costs I know have gone up. The average county or city is right around the $150,000 per year mark, and they're trying to combat this with budgets of $20,000 or $30,000. So, kind of the question is, how do you continue to afford the cost of public records requests when the costs are going up, but on kind of a limited budget? And where are those costs coming from? Here's a couple of stats from the report that, on average, agencies are spending 260 minutes per day meeting public records requests. So that's over half of your working day being spent trying to fill public records requests. And of that, 1,000 minutes are spent copying paper documents. And if you really kind of think about it, you're printing documents, you're making redactions, and you're making copies of those redacted copies. And then even if you are distributing them electronically still via email, you have to scan them back into your system to then import and distribute. So that's, again, one piece to where a lot of the time and money is coming from. And kind of this last stat that I'll share too, which is interesting, is of the $60 million that was accounted for, it was accrued over 285,000 different requests. Only a small portion, which is less than 1%, was actually paid for by the constituents or the requesters asking for the documents. So that other 99% of the cost was covered by these government agencies. So we asked the question, who's submitting them? What requests are they? Where are they coming from? When are they coming in? Where are your documents stored? Who touches them throughout the process? And then how long does the process take? And are you meeting certain deadlines? Public records requests aren't just something that are used by constituents to see, oh, there's complaints or looking at court cases. It occurs in multiple departments and multiple doc types. So everything from employee documents to project files and emails, permits, pictures, invoices, contracts, and so on. So, and this isn't just a linear simple process. there's a lot of different ways and directions and departments that these requests can come in. And as we know, time is kind of our biggest enemy, and especially when it comes to public records request processes. The first timer starts when the request comes in. You kind of need to decide how soon you're going to have to approve or deny the request. And then if you do hit that turnaround and it is approved, a second timer starts. And these public records requests, they need to be completed during a legally established time periods, right? Regardless of the volume, they still need to meet these deadlines, which causes another aspect of the cost, which is overtime for employees to meet these requests. And if that's not enough, there's people out there that actually submit public records requests hoping that you miss the deadline. These are the predatory public requests that are out there. And we're seeing is a growing trend of people receiving financial compensations, when a government agency doesn't fulfill the public records request in time. And then people have kind of learned to purposely submit these requests, hoping that they take longer than usual so that they can be compensated, by your government agency for not meeting that legal turnaround. So, all this kind of goes into, or is kind of behind the scenes or leading up to, like, all right, well, now we have this request. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at what needs to happen, but then what actually kind of happens and what could happen within the request. So, in a perfect world, there's a simple workflow, right? The request comes in, it's reviewed, it's received, it's approved, the documents are compiled, and it's delivered kind of to the requester. However, it's not exactly a linear process, right? There's a lot of unpredictability within these processes. So if a request comes in and it's missing information, you need to communicate back to say, hey, listen, we need some more information, or we're denying your request because of this, please revise it. Do we need to route to multiple departments to get multiple approvals? Do we need to redact the information? How many versions of the document need to be managed? Do we need to provide an extension? Now, is there a cost to it? So now we have to communicate with the requester of the cost. We have to receive the cost, process the cost, and then again, package the documents and then confirm a delivery. So, there's a lot more into this than a simple, let's get the request, retrieve the documents, and deliver. So, how can OnBase help, right? Again, as Colin covered, it's this hub of information that connects your critical line of business applications and everything that's within your digital environment, and allows you to make decisions in the speed of business continuity today, right? So OnBase has a web-based request submission. So it automates the entire process starting from start to finish. You can take the form, publish it to your website, fill out internally if you'd like, right? You can set a kiosk in your lobby to have a constituent come in and sit at the kiosk or the desktop and fill out the web-based form, or they could simply call in and speak to the clerk or someone in the office, and the clerk could then fill out the form on their behalf, right? But OnBase also provides this intuitive dashboard with details on the current status of requests, new requests that come in, next steps in the workflows. You can view past requests, really dial into the details of where each request is at. It allows for tracking, and it's guided by set timers and routing of documents, as well as various deadlines that are within the process, keeping everybody on time and on task. And further, you can run analytics on the departments or request types, see who's running most efficiently, as well as what departments could be potentially at jeopardy for facing litigation for not meeting those required timeframes or the deadlines required. This gives you the ability to notice any types of trends, certainly if there's any upticks in requests over a period of time that you could use to justify the department to ask for increased budget dollars to combat the increased requests. And kind of lastly, to wrap it all up with the request, you can automate and send these documents electronically. You can package them. You can set timers of how long you want to expose any documents for. So whether it's 30 days, 60 days, 45 days, all those capabilities are kind of built into this OnBase solution, right? And finally, OnBase gives you the opportunity to replace any efficient methods that you could be using today, right? As we all know, departments may be doing their own system, their own methods of doing it, but spreadsheets are limited to a single user. You can't edit them at the same time. It's hard to track or audit, the use of spreadsheets. Access control is difficult and cumbersome to manage. Lotus Notes is not really a large-scale system. You can't support more than a couple dozen users at a time. And then if there's any type of paper documents, again, we kind of talked about the challenges there, that now you have loose paper floating around that could be permanently damaged. And then email queues, right? If you're running your email as a workflow, emails get misfiled, missent, missaved, deleted, misarchived, right? The beauty is, OnBase replaces all of these. It's one hub, it's one single system for multiple departments to use. And because it's this electronic system, right, and it is this platform, it's available via desktop, tablet, or even phone. So I know we're kind of about halfway through. Wanted to kind of sum up, what OnBase is. If you want to take a minute, I'll let you guys type in any questions into the chat form, but I'll walk through some screenshots next of both the requester standpoint of a form and then what it looks like, for the administrator or the OnBase user. But this right here, this would be a form that we could put on your website, that could be built, that could be, again, set up on the kiosk. What it does is allows the constituents or anyone really to come in and fill out their request, right? The form can be formatted to match the look and feel of your website and have everything from drop-down menus, text form fillable sections, attached documents, and then certainly your submit button. In this example, right, Cindy Smith put in her email here. She kind of said, hey, listen, I'm going to type in some text in these boxes, provide some details for the request. Again, in this example, it's just simply a test or test for a webinar. You can see at the top, it automates the number. It's request number 105, and that she would like to receive copies of the records. So now that the form has been submitted, we're kind of switching the viewpoint now. Now we're the administrator looking at OnBase. And anyone who does use OnBase, this may look familiar. This is your home screen, and you can see that we have a new record request, which is number 105, in our new request queue at the bottom. So if we were to go on and click it, you can see that we can review all of the information that was sent over from the request from Cindy. Here's the information she typed in. It's a test for a webinar. Here's the request due dates, the response dates. If she wants to just receive copies of records, we captured her email here at the bottom. And then even if you were to scroll down, there are actually two documents already in the system. One is the request that Cindy had sent in, and the other is an automated email response that was generated back to her saying, hey, we've received a request, we'll work on it, we'll let you know if it's denied or approved. For your reference, it's request number 105. The benefit here is you no longer have to call in to check on the status of something to make sure something is received. And on our side too, now we're keeping our requesters informed of the process along the way. So next is, all right, let's see if we're going to approve or deny this. It's simply there's buttons at the top. If we wanted to deny it, there wasn't enough information or we needed more information, we could click the deny button and a little window would actually pop up to where we could respond to the requester saying, hey, we're missing documents or you have incomplete information or whatever the reasoning would actually be. But obviously for this example, let's assume that we have everything that's needed and we'll approve it, which then, again, this is the beauty of case management and the fact that public records requests aren't linear and they have this unpredictable workflows. We could add any type of little one-off rerouting buttons here at the top. So if this came in and we needed to send it to a different department to review, or we needed to have someone else collaborate on this with us, or if it's done and we wanted to send it through, we could do that. But we now have the ability to add these different points to where you can send this workflow to someone else or pause it and collect more information. But again, for this example, let's say that the information is complete and we just now want to go find a record from OnBase and attach it. So we'll hit add physical record, brings you back to OnBase. And again, gone are the days of really needing to search for paper documents, right? Everything is digital, whether it's in OnBase or whether it's on a network file. You can simply go out, look for the document that you want to attach or look for the record that you want to attach. And even if you do have a paper document, it can be scanned into the process at this point. If you had a scanner attached to your computer, you can retrieve the paper document, scan it in, attach it. But again, let's say we click this top document. This is the one that we want to attach to the record. It looks to be the correct one. Let's go ahead and execute task and add it to a request. Now we find our open public records request, number 105, test for a webinar. And with a simple click, we've now grabbed a document and added it to this request number 105 for Cindy, right? And now lets us review all of the documents that we want to attach. If we wanted to get more, we could go get more. But we've said, nope, we have everything that we want here. We're ready to go. We've collected the documents. Again, here's just another review to make sure everything's listed that we want to add to the request. And it's also reminding us at the top that, hey, this is awaiting redaction, right? And if we wanted to try to push this forward without redacting it, a little window would pop up and say, nope, can't do it. Some records are still pending this redaction. Please try again when redaction is completed, right? So what it does is automatically kicks off a workflow, pull up the document, use our quick little redaction pen to block off any sensitive information that we would want to hide. In this case, it was a social security number. Now we're done, right? We've grabbed the document, we've attached it, we've redacted it. Now we are ready to generate a summary report, which is essentially an inventory of what is included in the public records request. What it is, it's a simple template that can be built into OnBase that'll automate the information specific to this public records request. Again, it could have a letterhead. It'll auto-populate the request number, the title that the requester put in, as well as list kind of line items of everything that we went out and attached to this public records request. So now that we've reviewed it and we've attached the summary report, we're about ready to wrap this up. So we simply click send records and close requests, and we're done. That's it. This kind of gives an example of how OnBase can go from a web form all the way walk you through the workflow of finding documents, attaching them, modifying them, editing them, attaching a summary report, and then delivering to your requester, right? So now I'm going to switch roles again, and let's take a look at Cindy's email queue, right? So now, from Cindy's perspective, this would be, her email inbox. Let's assume she's using Outlook, and you can see that throughout the process, here's the different emails that were sent from the system. They were automated, right? When she first sent in the form, the first email came back and said, thanks for your request, for your records. Here's your request number. We'll evaluate it and let you know if we approve it. Once it's been approved, another email goes out, request number 105, test for webinar was accepted. Here's your expected date of completion, right? And then as we, the administrator, walk through the process and gather the documents and attach them and redact them, and then finally deliver them, this is the email that Cindy would get, right? And in the email is her summary report that's attached via a PDF, and then also a link for the actual public records document for her to then review and download. It's a secure link to where she can, again, view the document, and we can see that this is the document that we use because it's been redacted. And then there's all sorts of permissions that can be sent. So if you want her to be able to share it or to download it or to view it, or again, if you wanted to limit the time that these public records are exposed for her, those timers can be set as well. So, OnBase really does cover and highlight this entire process very, 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 very well. Even to the point to where, I'll show this last thing, it's this dashboards and reporting capabilities that OnBase provides. So you can see things like the flow of public records requests, the volume of them, the average time between, approval, or the average time between we receive it and they're closed. And you could even configure it to view, what employees, what people are spending the most time on public records requests, what departments are spending the most time operating in public requests. And like anything, all this data is exportable. So if you needed to make any type of business decisions or collect it, it can be exported and shared and stored and so on. So, I know that it is kind of a quick overview, but hopefully you kind of have a taste and the flavor of what OnBase can do and what it can do for public records requests. Looks like we have a couple minutes. Let me go through and take a look at some of these questions. So, see, we have Rich. Let's see. Do documents have to be in OnBase for them to be attached? If not in OnBase, how do we get them in? So to answer the question, no, they don't have to be in OnBase to attach to the records. Again, you can scan them in if you can connect a scanner to the computer and scan a paper document in. Again, after you do any type of manual redactions, you can go out to any type of network file share or folder. If there's any type of information that's saved on the machine, you can go out and pull those in. However, the records provided to the requester, good question. They can be provided in any format that you'd like, so they can be converted to PDF. And if there are any redactions, the redactions actually burn onto the PDF, so there's no layers to where they can remove the layers. And then I guess they can be also formatted to any format that you would want to show as well. So if it was an image, it could be a JPEG, a TIFF, PNG, that could be built into your customization. Let's see what else. Is the response due date auto-calculated? Is there a formula that you can use to calculate a 3-day turnaround time? Likewise, would it take into account for holidays or a 4-day work week? That's all configurable. OnBase is extremely configurable. So you can set the different permissions. I mean, that's something as if we were to come in and sit down with you and look at your current process and your requirements, those can be configured and established. So I think that's it. If there's any other questions, feel free to throw them in. I'll leave it open for a quick minute. Either myself or Cullen will get the questions answered, or any type of other account manager that's on our team. Certainly, if there are any other questions, or one came in, can we see a demo? Yes, absolutely. We'd love to set a demo. We'll be in touch to see, again, review your current process and kind of specify the demo back to you. And yeah, if there's any questions at all, visit us at Naviant.com. Feel free to chat or send a submission that way too. But we appreciate everyone's time and attention. And if there's any other questions, we will get back to you guys shortly. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.